Monday morning when the students actually started arriving, it was almost a shock because we'd done all this planning and these students until that point had remained sort of conceptual. You could feel that all the teachers were a little bit nervous and all the students were definitely a bit nervous. And the first day it wasn't a disaster, but we were the first team to break for snack.
So an example of good design, is this like art or like anything?
It can be art, it can be design. Okay? You've got to be able to justify what you've taken a photograph of. I agreed to come to Minneapolis to teach teenagers because it's something I've never done before. As a whole, I teach for a long time undergraduate, and more I find my students are so serious and so devoted to the subject of design that they sometimes lack the naivety which I was hoping and have found in the students here. And it's that excitement and playing with that naivety that I really enjoy. Because we know too much sometimes, and we know something won't work, we won't try it. And if you don't know it won't work, you can discover it will work. And without that opportunity to experiment and explore, design would not change. But what's the mirror on the top for?
It's the camera.
It was like a wireless computer hooked up to like a helmet, so I could like program anything from being in Siberia in a cave to being in a vat of lukewarm butter.
The most difficult challenge is to get them to turn their fantastic ideas into a controlled reality that they are proud of. I don't want to control their ideas. I want them to be very much their own expressions. We have very ambitious projects, and I want them to be really pleased and excited by the result.
Well, building something that's playful and that we'd like to relax in and just hang out in. So we built this.
One of the hardest things is that as a designer, there is a certain amount of chaos that you have to embrace, and there's a certain amount of control that you have to relinquish in order for it to be a successful experience for the students, because it has to be their chaos and it has to be their control. And there was an incredible amount of chaos. Creative chaos.
Part of the process is buying the clothing at Ragstock and looking at it and then deconstructing that. You know, sleeve comes out here, how do you plug a sleeve back in?
I just took like an old velvet blazer and because I like the collar, and this old like acrylic sweater, it was like a men's sweater, so it's kind of big, and I just hacked out the sleeves and put them on here.
These are leg warmers, and I made them just from some white fabric, and I sewed them up the back. I took a pair of like men's pants and cut them really short, and then I added a strip of pinstripe fabric, and then I sewed on leather and made fringes. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for my shirt yet.
It's like lacing it up.
It is. It's like a lace, and you can do this in any kind of pattern.
Really cool.
But you see how it draws up and does this kind
Yeah,
of
it makes
thing?
it tight.
But imagine that like under the bust here or up the side of a dress.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Will you sign it now?
Now I will.
All right.
Maybe you could dull the edges or something. Oh, watch it. You don't get graded here, right?
Yeah.
Like this.
And then you run a strap across your back so that it stays on. It's fun to see things in new ways.
The most difficult challenge for me has been trying to make them not drift off to a so-called fashion way of thinking, to stick to designing something unique.
This is the Wearing Group and their summer collection of 2002. All the outfits are constructed and redesigned from recycled garments.
Like, try something else.
Let it chill.
Usually I think for a while, and if I don't figure it out by then, I ask somebody else if I do get stuck.
Go to sleep and hope you think of something. When I get stuck, I don't know, just keep doing stuff. Like, maybe work on something else, you know? can't really get stuck.
Design is a way to invent something new. In many ways, it's a big opportunity to change something.
Leave it on the floor. Of this shape you designed is very important. You have to try to stay to this.
We don't have the resources anymore to make it.
Yeah, but we can find a solution to.
I guess in the beginning we just didn't have the right length of pipes cut on our map, and the whole thing caused it to not be a circle anymore. It became more of a square and wouldn't do what we wanted it to be. So we had to adjust all the pipes, and now it's not working so much. So we're trying to adjust it more to the map. Before we get a pipe coming out from right there, that was a T pipe.
Yeah.
There's the triple wherever.
Hey, Leon. If we cut a hole in the top, it gets rid of the heat too, though. What? It'll get rid of the heat. It's really hot in here, dude.
We're cutting the tarp, this over thing, so we can use that canvas board, the canvas right there, and put that around the edges since this doesn't fit perfectly.
We decided to let them make a homeless settlement with different kind of qualities of spaces. They had to deal not only with each other in the small groups, but also as well in the bigger group. And it has to be a connection in everything. Then there is designing, and then there is making. So there were a lot of difficult things to all coming together at once to deal with. And that was very challenging for me as well as for them, I hope.
We think about clean cars, but we don't think about if all of Californians had, like fuel cell cars tomorrow morning by magic, what would happen to congestion? What would traffic be like the next day? We need to be thinking comprehensively, and to take on this thing comprehensively, we need to focus on involving communities in the design process. Is that good?
I can just tape around it, right?
We have 5 neighborhood electric vehicles outside. This is the base of the vehicle. It's just real basic technology that works, and but they're like driving furniture, because you could actually make this into anything. You can make it longer, you could make it into an expendable thing.
That is so cool.
The vehicle could come in, open up, and open like a little driving tent flower, a little room. That's what they are, like Zoom rooms.
Okay, so now what we've got to do is going to take this piece of paper and we're going to lay it on top of a piece of foam core over there.
Can you sit up again? Because we've got to have the...
It'll have to adjust so we can sit up.
Yeah, we've got the seat has to be totally adjusted.
It
should be collapsible, I think.
Yeah.
So it just goes in like a...
Where are we having the door?
Well, the idea was that the door would be semicircular around the front. So
they just open up like a...
So we'd probably tape out a semicircle and then it'll slide around like that.
For sure, a good sized post right here.
These days, kids at school have very, very little, if no exposure at all, to design and art. And yet I think the values of understanding the creative process can be assigned to all sorts of other aspects of our lives. And even if they have no intention of becoming designers, I think the exposure to design makes them think about things a little differently.
The little Peter guy in the car, he's like...
Creating. Making objects better, or creating new objects.
Thinking how to make whatever I'm designing work.
First I like to plan it out, and then I like to start building. I don't like to build a model in between.
You first make sketches of any wild idea of any sort.
Measure twice, cut once.
Designers are communicators, and as communicators, you are a storyteller. Primary agendas, we posed a simple question, which was, where do stories lie? Exquisite corp structure is very simple. Each student was given a blank piece of paper, which they folded into thirds. Then when we said go, each student had about 5 minutes to create a head of a character through collage. So we've been talking a lot about, as a designer, how methodologies can help you generate content, and in this case, stories. Other stories were about them having an experience. We took the city bus down to the state capitol, and then they developed a book structure based on something about that particular experience. A famous artist named Ed Ruscha would take a picture along a strip Like every 10 feet he would take a photograph, and then he made these beautiful accordion fold books. So it created a very interesting story about a place based on how he was asking you to look at it.
And these ones all have pictures of twins or two things that look the same. And this side has pictures of cities.
The biggest surprise has been how much culture affects the things that they think about, which is something I always believed to be true, but it's been shockingly apparent how much their life is shaped by things that they see in the world.
This is a found book project. We call it the material book. And each student got to choose a structure, like an existing structure, like a deck of cards.
I found this. I was just like, oh, that looks like my very first CD holder. I decided to do it on CDs because it represents kind of how my musical taste has evolved through the years.
This is a book of like dedications I have to people. I chose the quotes and then I took the quote and put it on the bottom of the page. With the quote is a person I dedicate this to or a story that happened relating to the quote. Be nice to people on your way up because you'll meet them on your way down.
We first got the assignment, Tom and I sat down and started thinking about what resting might mean. It was clear to us what it means to us, but we really didn't know what the campers would think.
To sleep and relaxation and comfort, and then personal space. It just kind of represents design.
It was a good sort of solution to your problem, you know, like you didn't have to make like a platform or...
And I always thought you let a problem go and they would sort of approach it and sort of deal with it. But one of the things that really happens is they see the problem and somehow they click to a solution and stick with that solution. So for them, the problem is over. So we've got to again think up a new problem or a new sort of situation to keep them engaged.
Two campers were to cohabitate, to negotiate a space and to make a place to rest 15 inches off of the ground. The materials were at first very strictly limited to lashings, to bamboo, and to cardboard. And as the week wore on and as I grew more and more fatigued, other materials were incorporated.
Well, we thought that would be a smart idea to support these by putting pegs through these holes that we had. And so to test it, I sat on it and it just went kaboosh.
Everybody sit!
I think I'm gonna put a little cardboard rim just so it doesn't poke. But it's kind of rigid, but it's sturdy and it's comfy. It works.
Awesome! Good job! Woo-hoo! I think design is the ability to take a problem that isn't well defined and attack it from various sort of points of view.
The little Peter guy in the car, he's great.
Being able to take your creative ideas and make them functional.
Everything was designed by someone or something, I think.
A form of art put to use.
Someone designed the flooring in here, someone designed these awesome pajama pants I'm wearing.
A concept that is taken from your mind and put into something that's usable, but also is aesthetically pleasing.
Like everything's design, really. Except for him, he's like negative design.
The biggest surprise has been the students. They unfold like, you know, buds into flowers. They become lively, conversational, joking, noisy individuals, cutting up all kinds of cloth and cardboard and chopping wood, things that you didn't really imagine they'd be able to do, and become integrated both as miniature teams within the workshop groups and as a community, and I'm going to miss them.